G'day and welcome to another episode of Kiwi Car Life. And as many of you may know, over the last few months I've been trying to find myself a new daily driver, which has not proved to be the most easy process, in part due to my stubbornness, but also due to the fact we're living in a weird time where, by way of analogy, good cars are cheaper than ever. You can get a 600 horsepower F10 M5 for well under 30 grand, or a C63 for like 15k. That's a bargain. But bad cars are outrageously expensive. Why are rough manual 330 CIs 15 grand? 200,000k Euro Rs are nearly 20, and literally anything with a JDM badge on it is like 50 grand. And it's not like it's a supply and demand issue. It just seems like the market is awash with overpriced cars that no one's buying. So that's the market problem. But the me problem is that I could just go out and buy a yellow manual Jazz like what I restored on the channel a few weeks ago, and arguably it'd be perfect. It'd be manual, quite fun to drive, cheap as chips to run, and it'll be perfect for carting around car parts. But frankly, I only really loved that yellow Jazz purely because after I'd had my fun for a couple of weeks, I could go back to my M135i for a bit of speed and power that the Jazz most definitely lacked. Across every daily driver that I've owned in the last 5 years, my Accord Euro S, Euro R, ISF, Legacy, 130i, M3, M135i, Skoda, 325i, and this 330i, I've learned a number of things. I do around 40,000 kilometers a year, so I really value having somewhat decent fuel economy. 16 litres per 100k was why I sold my V8 ISF. Because a lot of those kilometers are spent driving to Auckland to film videos, I cannot live without cruise control, which is a small part, admittedly, why I sold my 130i and Euro R. I really want to own something that I just don't have to worry about. I try my best to keep my cars clean and polished, but they get used and they do a lot of driving every year, so I can't have something expensive or fragile, which is the main reason I sold my M3. Every time I buy an automatic car, I find myself crawling back and wanting a manual car again, which is in part why I sold the Skoda and the M135i. And finally, a roughly 3 litre 6-cylinder engine just suits me really well. They offer a great noise, enough power, decent fuel economy, and they can be bought affordably, which from my initial research leaves us with 2 cars that tick all of my boxes. A manual Legacy 3 litre R or a manual E46 or E90 330i. So let's have a look on Trade Me and see what we can find. Starting with the Legacies. Don't want a wagon, don't want a wagon, don't want a wagon. These two are base model Jap import cars with no cruise control and cloth interior. Don't want that. That's an S402, which is very cool, but is a bit outside of my price range. So we're going to be looking at this New Zealand new Legacy 3 litre R. Now the 330i's, that's awful. That's extremely overpriced for 240,000 kilometres, but that appears to be quite nice. That's a weird 330 Ti, a compact that somebody has swapped in a 3 litre and a sedan front end onto. This Club Sport probably would be worth 14k if it hadn't done 240,000 Ks, and this car is so overpriced, it's about to celebrate its 4th anniversary here on Trade Me. And there is not a single manual E90 330i for sale, nor will there ever be, because they weren't sold here in New Zealand or in Japan. So your only option is to get a UK import, which I did a couple of months ago. You would have seen it on the channel. But all of those UK cars have the direct injected N53 engine, which is about as reliable as a politician. So that brings us to this car here. But if we look inside, it has no cruise control and it is a base model with cloth seats, not especially desirable. So that brings us back to the Legacy, but it's done 211,000 kilometres. And when I owned mine a couple of years ago, that box of 6 was doing like 13 litres per 100k. They're not known for being terribly efficient. So I'm out of options. There is literally nothing that ticks all of my boxes. Or is there? After searching high and low and deviating a little from the brands I usually tend to buy from, I found this. Under the bonnet of this TT, we find a 3.2 litre VR6, an engine known for being relatively reliable in the world of Volkswagen Audi Group cars, but most importantly, it makes a glorious and sonorous racket with pedal to the metal. And joy of joys, this TT is paired with a 6-speed manual transmission. Having a manual is good enough as is, but this one happens to have one of my favorite features in a manual: close ratios. It barely does 80 k's an hour in second gear. It has an amazing ability to make this 184 kilowatt VR6 feel significantly more pokey than it really is. And you see that staggering performance in the 0 to 100 time. I've clocked 0 to 100 in just 5.9 seconds in this car, which is really quite fast. And if I matted it down the Otaki Expressway, which I won't, but if I did, this would top out at 250 k's an hour. So this very much ticks the 6-cylinder performance, soundtrack, and relative fuel efficiency box, along with the manual transmission box. And look at this, cruise control. Because this is a New Zealand new Audi TT with full dealer service history, there is not a single squeak or rattle from any of the suspension components. The drivetrain of this car is absolutely faultless, and it's loaded in here with cruise control, auto lights and wipers, the Bose stereo system, heated electric seats. It's got everything that I could possibly look for in a car of this sort of vintage. And it just drives so well. Coming back from Auckland, you can just set the cruise control and put it in 6th gear and forget about it. It's the most comfortable sports car I've ever driven. But when you hit a winding back road like this, you can deploy the electric spoiler back there, turn on the adjustable stiff suspension, drop some gears, and this thing just tears up back roads. The way it goes through corners on these Pilot Sport 4 tyres is absolutely incredible. Normally I'm not a huge fan of 4-wheel drive cars, and while I admit this is not an especially fun car, I'm not exactly sliding it around like I was in my old 130i, it is extremely proficient. It's the easiest car I've ever driven for overtaking on typical New Zealand twisty passing lanes, because you just plant your foot and forget about it, and the car just sorts you out. It really does have a pretty remarkable ability to just eat up miles very comfortably on the open road, but also make a sensational noise with a really great manual gearbox actually, and just, phenomenal handling, through corners like this. It has genuinely surprised me with its remarkable driving characteristics. So really I could not be happier with this TT. The 325i and the Skoda have already gone. The M135i will be going soon, although before I sell it I will do one final wrap-up video talking about my ownership experience with that car, because it has actually been a really fantastic car. I'd recommend it to anyone. And I will be keeping the 330i because having a 4-door automatic car is definitely handy, although admittedly I will always have a few projects on the go, like for instance an Audi S5 I'm rebuilding at the moment, so once that's complete I may find I don't even need to have a designated daily driver. But for the foreseeable future, the TT and 330i will be the new Kiwi Car Life cars. You can look forward to hearing lots of lovely 6-cylinder noises in the coming episodes, and I will very much look forward to seeing you again next time.